Satasminnevakashe striyamajagama Bahushobhamanamumangu haimavati Taguho vachati metat yakshamiti Satasminnevakashe striyamajagama Bahushobhamanamumangu haimavati Taguho vachati metat yakshamiti. So this mantra is the climax of Indra's strange meeting with Uma. That's the title given to this mantra, just to give you the context. So in that very space, he beheld an extremely beautiful woman, Uma, an angel, as it were, daughter of Himavan, the Himalayan mountain. He asked her, what was that spirit? Kimetat yaksha iti. What the spirit is? What was that spirit? Thank you, Ji. I don't know, I tell you, it's seemingly so innocuous verse, innocuous mantra, but so deeply meaningful. Rajima, put it aside. Where are you? Either here or you're there or wherever you are. Never ever be here and never ever be there. The world can wait. Adhikari, the test of Adhikari. Himavan, the daughter of Himavan, Himalaya, the daughter of Himavan. The daughter of Himavan, which is Uma. Uma symbolizes Vedantic wisdom. Himalaya is the range where these great Mahatmas used this as a laboratory. The Himalayan valleys, the Himalayan mountains were used as a spiritual laboratory where these great men realized their truths and they declared the truths. They wrote the truths to the world, having realized the truth where? In the Himalayan mountains, isn't it? Something spiritual about them. In fact, there's always something spiritual up into the mountains. I tell you, you must have the strength and the capacity to scale them. And once you scale them and you're there in those mountains, there's something there, something unique, something very, very profound. So much so the Upanishads talk about. So if the Himalayan valleys is the source of the wisdom is Uma. So Uma symbolizes the Vedantic wisdom. So Himalaya is where Vedanta is born, Uma is born. Vedantic wisdom is born there. So the question, what was that spirit, is symbolizing the inquiry to find out who is God? What is that God? You want to know what that God is, isn't it? Spiritual quest is the discovery of yourself. You want to know what the truth is. So Indra asking Uma, what was that spirit? What was that apparition? Is you asking the scriptural text, what is that God? And the scripture text generally answers, Tat Swamasi, that thou art. You are that very God yourself. You're all relating to the context of the whole story. The fact that Indra asks Uma, he was not interested in Uma. In fact, he asked, who was that apparition? He didn't lose his focus. He was not charmed by Uma. He was only interested in what was that apparition? What was the spirit? So the very spiritual quest of investigating the truth is being dramatized here. So the dramatization of Indra asking Uma of what was that spirit is the spiritual quest we all have embarked in, trying to figure out what that truth is. Point one. Then he says that Uma, he qualifies Uma, Bahushobhamanam Umam, Bahushobhamanam, extremely beautiful. It was just not ordinary beauty, extremely beautiful, wondrous. You look at her, you would feel, wow, so beautiful, so charming. Now, don't get any funny thoughts in your mind. Huh? Arrest all those funny thoughts. Now, Amitama, what does Bahushobhamanam Umam? So what does that beautiful Uma symbolize? Don't read any commentary anywhere. Huh? No cheating also. I see what I see. I also see what I do not see. So be very, very careful.
Yeah, I'm always cautious about that, sir. What others cannot see.
I'm sorry?
You're being able to see what others can't see.
No. Yes, ma. Hari Om. So what does wondrous, beautiful Uma mean?
Like you just explained, she is the epitome or the symbol of the highest knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is self-knowledge about the self. Is it? Okay. Is that?
So what does it mean?
What does it mean?
See, he's why I'm asking is he's saying Uma was dazzling, most beautiful, most charming. Now, what does that denote? What does that communicate?
That such high knowledge can only be perceived not through organs of action or organs of perception by.
No.
Okay.
I'm only asking, why did he qualify Uma as most beautiful? He could just say Uma appeared. You and I will understand, okay, a lady Uma, who is daughter of Himavan, she appeared. He doesn't do that. He qualifies it by saying most wondrous, most beautiful Uma. Okay, think along, Ma. Think along. All right, let me ask.
Can I try, sir, before you move?
Please, you can. Yes, ma.
Yeah. So is it to differentiate that this beauty is something beyond, something extraordinary, something beyond just our ordinary plane, something above and beyond? That distinction, that it is
No.
blind. No. Okay. Sorry. Thank you.
No. It is, you are there, but I'm just trying to get it with little more clarity. You're there and thereabouts. So I just want it very clear, So because there's certain aspect of comparison, you get it. Okay. Now, all right, no problem. See, Uma represents Vedantic wisdom. The Vedantic wisdom declares or is nothing but the digest of the wisdom of the great gurus of past, isn't it? What is Vedantic wisdom? Vedantic knowledge. Vedantic knowledge is a digest of the wisdom of the great gurus, isn't it? And that declaration of the gurus, the wisdom of the gurus, is the digest of the saints, which is nothing but the Upanishad's truths, is actually enchanting, is so grand, is so beautiful. This literature that we're studying is the most enchanting thing in life. In entire thing in the world, if there's one thing that is topmost, GB Kiragaru, you have seen so much. We all have seen. But in the list of things of all that we have experienced in life, what is the most? What's the most valuable thing? What's the best thing that can ever be achieved or experienced?
the totality of the everything, knowledge, power, whatever the gunas, shaktis, the spirit of the which gives the Brahmanandam, which gives everything that is qualifies the totality. Seeing that is maybe that the true knowledge, the power, and also the Aishwarya is not money, is alone. It is everything, totality. When it comes, that is the whatever you dream, like the Chintamani, whatever you dream and it comes, that is everything that is not in materialistic, the spiritual. In the spiritual, the most, what the ultimate, when you see that you are getting into moksha, you are getting into final, that is destination.
So you have rightly said, sir. So of all that the world can offer, the experience of the bliss of Brahman, that joy which you get from the spiritual elevation, is the topmost, isn't it? There's nothing that can surpass it.
That is what we just, like dancing, all the when it's saying getting Ananda Bashpas, and well, the whole thing is ultimately it becomes that what the greatest thing as of you.
Perfect. Yes, sir. Really right. Really right. Very good. What you're saying is namaskar, namaskar. Very good. So the real essence, the Vedantic wisdom is like when you talk of the tallest mountains, you say Himalayas is the tallest mountain. You talk of the ocean, then you say whichever is ocean, the largest ocean, you say this is the largest seat of body of water, and so on and so forth. So amongst the greatest of all things a human can achieve is this self-realization. Therefore, it is the most glorious truths. Whether you understand the grandness is secondary, but dazzling Uma means the digest of the wisdom of the Vedantic truths is the most enchanting thing you can ever have in your life. Amitama, you got that? All right, that's one. Now, second, why did the spirit disappear when Indra appeared, and why did Uma appear? I wouldn't want to go through trying to ask you all. I'll explain it so you can ponder over it. The question, two questions. Why did the spirit disappear and then Uma appeared? But it didn't happen when Agni and Vayu went, isn't it? When Agni and Vayu went, the spirit remained. But when Indra went, the spirit disappeared and Uma appeared. So firstly, why did the spirit remain when Agni and Vayu went? Suggesting even though Agni, which symbolizes organs of action, Vayu symbolizing organs of perception. So when you approach God through organs of action and organs of perception, you cannot understand Brahman. No use. So because they couldn't ascertain what that spirit was, they came back, isn't it? But when Indra symbolizes the mind and intellect. When the mind and intellect approaches God, what happened? The spirit disappeared and Uma appeared. Now the appearance of Uma, and what is Uma? Uma is the Vedantic wisdom. So when you approach God through devotion and intellection, through bhakti and jnanam, when you approach God through bhakti and jnanam, you get Uma, which is vicarious knowledge of the self. Write down verbatim. Harishji, please capture this. Uma appearing equals vicarious knowledge of the self. So Indra approaching, I repeat, Indra approaching the spirit. Please write this down also, Harishji. Indra approaching spirit equals pursuit of God with head and heart. I repeat, Indra approaching the spirit equals pursuit of God with the head and heart. Now, if you all remember, some time ago, we explained in detail, when there is an integration of head and heart, you have an experience of, Harishi, even that write down. When there is an integration of your head and heart, you experience what is known as ecstasy. Are we right? Ecstasy, we said, is the height of spiritual experience in a worldly perspective. Spiritually in the terrestrial, but you're not really attained moksha. So the zenith of spiritual experience in a worldly perspective, from a limited perspective, is ecstasy. And when do you get ecstasy? When head and heart approach. And head and heart approaching, which head is jnanam, heart is bhakti. So when head and heart come together, which is symbolized by Indra, means you can gain some idea of what the self is, which is symbolized by Uma appearing. So when you, but the same thing doesn't happen when you approach the spirit through the organs of action. We said organs of action is what? Organs of action we said as, remember? What did we say organs of action as? Ayyo, organs of action are kannu kamarikanga. It's not the eyes. Huh? What is organs of action? Shivaji, what is the organs of action? If you remember the interpretation we gave last week.
Agni.
Ama, Agni symbolizes organs of action. But what does organ of action symbolize in the spiritual field?
Routinely doing.
A routine mechanical work, performing mechanical rituals.
Yeah, without the
Understanding.
mind and the intellect in it.
So mechanically puja pandringa, mechanically you'll break coconut, mechanically you'll perform rituals, mechanically you'll chant mantras, mechanically go to temple, mechanically do many things. Adella organs of action.
But mechanically doing, one day you'll be able to do it, realize. If you don't do it, you're not going to get it. Mechanically doing also can lead you. Because
until a guru comes and knocks on your head.
Otherwise, you are not going to go there. Even not doing mechanically also, at least one day you will take an interest to know what it is. If you don't do it at all, you don't do puja at all, you are not going to realize anything beyond. Even doing mechanically is not to be totally abstained till you grow out of it.
Sir, when I said, when I do namaskar to you, I bow down to the Atman in you. Namaskaram, sir. How are you, sir? Namaskaram, Hari Om. Namaskaram, Hari Om. Hari Om, Namaskaram. Namaskaram, Namaskaram. What is going on? Namaskaram, Jumma. Nowadays, we can't greet through handshake hand. So, therefore, Namaskaram. It's just a COVID protocol extended beyond convenience. Is that a COVID protocol convenience of greeting another person, or is it to invoke the Brahman in you, attune to the Brahman? I completely agree with you, sir. In fact, so glad your net also is perfect. We are able to hear you very clearly. See, again, you need namaskar. I forgot namaskar. So, sir, getting in fact, rituals are an integral part of our sadhana, but performing them mechanically is like getting into a kindergarten and getting stuck there rest of your life.
Yeah. You have to move out of it. There's no doubt.
When? As long as it served your purpose, you got to move out of it. Even a day you sit longer in the kindergarten beyond your time frame, they say, Enapa, put this fellow in the first grade. Why is this boy still here? The boy automatically came and went and sat in the same class because he knew that is his class. Year has rolled by, he has been promoted to first standard, but he's gone straight up. He sat in the same classroom, in the same seat. And suddenly he's having all new friends around. Crying. That's when the teacher took attention. What is this? Why is this boy crying? This boy has come to a wrong class.
He's
so
still in the old class.
Said, still in the old class because all his friends are missing.
No, it's like holding on to the. It's like holding on to the lowest rung of the ladder and still want to go up.
Not one day you are accepted in that class where you don't belong. So the teacher and the principal make sure that you are not in the wrong class. That is what the Shastras are doing. So Chumma, don't give me excuses and say, ritual is important. No, you have to perform mechanical also. Not a single day. Not a single day you will be allowed to sit in a class where you don't belong. The rituals are important, but not
what I'm trying
a single moment. So not a single moment you're accepted to perform mechanically. And yet I'm only, so we are both saying same thing. But Chumma, example, bit is alright. You cannot, and why I say this, it is to alert you that there is a certain proportion of rituals you're performing without understanding what they are.
That is
it is a knock.
Sure.
It is a knock on our head to tell that rituals will not take you forward in a spiritual journey. That is what Agni approaching the apparition, he could not know what that spirit is. So rituals are important. Don't misunderstand me. Rituals are important. You may worship the Surya Namaskar. You may worship every element, all the elements. You worship the sun god, the earth god. The first thing you may do, you worship the earth. Earth is giving us so much. You worship the earth, you worship Vayu, you worship every element. But mere worship without understanding what it is has no meaning. Mechanical rituals. So, right, the organs of action, which is symbolized by Agni, means mechanical rituals. Now, I asked you all a question last week. I don't know how many of you thought of it. I asked you all, what is the organs of perception? We said organs of perception, which is prana, which is the Vayu, which is the wind god, symbolizes. I said dash, think about it. I didn't give an answer last week. Now the answer I'm giving now. Those of you who have thought of it have come to a conclusion, verify whether it's the right thing. If you have got it right, congratulate yourself. I do not know. But if you have got it wrong, clarify it. Organs of perception is superior to organs of action. Mechanical rituals is you begin your spiritual journey with mechanical rituals. Like we all have began our education by going through kindergarten. But we are all not stuck in kindergarten, are we? We have to move on. So superior to mechanical rituals is organs of perception. Organs of perception is symbolized by what is known as auditory worship. Now, what is auditory worship? Reddy Garu, any idea what auditory, that word auditory means?
Sorry, Guruji, no idea.
No idea. Fair enough. So we all learn. I also need some help, sir. Not that I know. So don't worry. We both are in the same boat. We'll ask. So many wise people are there. Tinkima is giving, visual lesson she is giving us. So let us ask. Let us hear through her organs of perception. Yes, ma.
Auditory is to do with hearing, listening, Shravana.
Okay.
So listening to, whatever, the higher, listening to the scriptures, listening to the Guru, expound on the scriptures. I know auditory is to do with hearing. But
Now you're extending. Now you're extending that to hearing the Gurus, learning their
That's
wisdom.
what, at the worship aspect, I'm not very sure.
No, because I'm glad. I'm glad you are a little uncertain about it. Is because why you should be is because did we not say that when in Vayu approached, he could not ascertain what that spirit was. Clear? Isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
And then we say Indra approaching means Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Isn't it? The mind and intellect, the head and heart. Are we right?
Yes.
So there is a difference between head, which is listening to the Gurus, which is Shravana. Difference to that is, so auditory worship is different to Shravana. There is a difference here. So now what you're doing is you're doing Shravana. You're actually listening to the Guru. You're listening, we are all learning from the Shastras. The Guru is the unknown Guru of the text. We don't know who the author of Upanishad is. So we're listening to the Guru, isn't it? This is Shravana. This is different to auditory worship. Auditory worship refers to organs of perception. Auditory worship means merely, example is just listening to bhajans. Somebody is playing bhajans, kirtans. You listen to Harikatha. Somebody is telling Harikatha. Harikatha used to be an evening part-time pastime, isn't it? Am I right? You go and sit. Somebody is talking on Ramayana. Somebody is singing bhajan. Somebody is doing kirtana. Somebody is performing. You go and simply sit. Somebody is even singing Carnatic music. You go and sit. Blindly listen. Nothing you understand what's going on. What ragam is it? What modulation is it? But it feels so nice listening to this Carnatic music. That's all. Nothing happens beyond that. Soumyamma has given little help to me. Kada kalakshepam. Kada kalakshepam na Seturamanji. Enna sir adu? Kalakshepam. The Tamil word ninga translate பண்ணுங்க sir. Tamil avlo nalla illa.
It has got Hariom Guruji twin words, Kada and Kalakshepam. Kalakshepam is time pass. Kada is this
Story.
Story, stories, listening to stories, and
So
killing time.
Killing time. So auditory worship is Kada Kalakshepam. Amitama, please write down. It's a new word you will hear. It's a Sanskrit word or Tamil word? Tamil word. Kadha Kalakshepam. The two words. So they tell story and they do a lot of, it includes a lot of musical in it. And it's usually done in the evening. And usually all the retired folks have nothing else to do. They go and sit there and time pass entertainment. In between, they'll have a nice canteen also. So they'll go and get masala vada, bhaji, pakoda, dinner. They'll go and come back and continue. As if you would not do that in a movie actually. When you do in a movie, what will happen? The movie, only when the break is there, you'll go for a popcorn and a drink. No? Anytime, throughout that time, you will be seeing people going and coming. Half the time they'll be in the canteen, half the time they'll be here. Half the time somebody comes, he'll go and greet that fellow. So that fellow who is talking Kada Kalakshepam, he's going on. But people are there and yet not there. This is, don't think please don't bring down Shravana to Kada Kalakshepam, please. Auditory worship is not Shravana. I am not doing Kada Kalakshepam. What we are doing is serious jnanam. Isn't it?
Actually, I didn't pay attention that auditory is to do with hearing, but worship itself denotes devotion. And when it's bhakti and devotion, it will be bhajan and satsang, kirtan and anything in the form of worship for God, worship towards God.
Please don't bring down bhakti to mere performance of bhajans and kirtans.
Isn't it an aspect of bhakti?
Ma, it is an expression of bhakti. Don't convert expression of bhakti to what bhakti is.
Okay.
It's like expression of my love is different from the feeling of love. Am I right?
Yes. Yes.
What my feeling of love for you is different to the way I express my feeling.
Yes.
How can you say the expression and the feeling is the same?
No,
they are not the same. They are not, isn't it? So many people mistake expression of bhakti to be bhakti. Completely wrong. Colossal mistake.
I'm glad I clarified. Thank you, Guruji.
I'm glad you asked. Otherwise, I also didn't know. I also learned now only today the difference. So it always said that the student brings the best out of the guru. No? So if there's anything little in me, it's thanks to you all. You're bringing it out of me. So expression of bhakti is not bhakti. Why I say this is, I don't recall if Vijay Raghavanji is there. I'll ask him. I don't think he's there. Have you ever heard me say this in this language?
No,
never heard.
We have interpreted it like that.
Yeah, but I have never said this way. So it's very original even for me. Yeah. The expression of bhakti is not bhakti, just like expression of love is not love. Hariji, please capture it and copyright protect it. Serious copyright has to be done. Kamalji, samajh rahe Kamalji? Expression of bhakti is not bhakti. Expression of love is not love. Haji.
No, I was just thinking that, as you mentioned, the auditory worship, is it still the mechanical action only, except we are just using our indriyas for perception? That's about it.
Correct.
It's still a mechanical only.
The element of mechanical element is very much prevalent, but the difference is because you're using different set of organs.
Yeah, I mean, instead of using purely organs of action, we are using both organs of action and also organs of perception.
No, organs of action are not used. Or let's say you may sing also.
Yeah,
you may get carried away. Okay,
yeah,
fair enough.
It could be a combination.
Fair enough. Yeah, but still done mechanically.
Yeah.
Isn't it? But do you agree or do you understand the concept that expression of love is different to the feeling of love, which is nothing but the expression of bhakti is different to the feeling of devotion? They're two different things.
Yeah, I think the feeling is more at emotional or at mind level, whereas expression is more at your organ level, like perception level, or at your whatever you perceive, that's what you are feeling, seeing that expression or getting that input of expression, whereas feelings are at your mind level.
You may say so, yes, but what we are trying to extend, as you rightly said, and extend is we should not think performance of those expression is tantamounting to invoking that feeling. Isn't it? Performance of those expression, which is singing bhajans or performing kirtans or all of that, is not tantamounting to having that feeling of devotion. They are two different things.
Definitely, yeah. Devotion is leading us further, to the path of spirituality, because then we are trying to surrender our ego.
Trying to surrender your ego. In fact, bhakti or devotion is, what is that? True. Thanks, Kamalji. Wonderful. The real devotion, bhakti, when does one feel, what is bhakti? When does one feel bhakti? Yes, Amitama.
When it is unconditional seva, service, truly from the heart, unconditionally. Divinizing that action. Can I say that?
You already said that.
Okay.
No.
Is
You
that
can certainly,
acceptable?
you can say that. It is certainly acceptable. Whom am I to say no to it? It is certainly acceptable. Now, but what we are trying to get at, Ma, bhakti or devotion is a feeling that expresses when you have an attitude of thankfulness, an attitude of gratefulness,
Attitude of
Bhak-
gratitude. Yeah.
an attitude of gratitude. So bhakti is nothing but an expression of a one long chant of thanking God for what he has already provided. So bhakti is thanking the Lord for what I have been blessed with, what you already provided with. So you will feel devotion towards higher. You have a feeling for God when you are thankful to God. Otherwise, but today, while people are performing these various pujas and prayers and chants, you go and do personalized archana, special archana. Please bless my family only. Eh? My family starts with me, my spouse, my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. And you will know all their stars and planets and comets, everything around them you will know. You say, please bless their stars and comets also. Amidama, what is that kind of a bribery worship? Archana worship, bribery worship, Rajima, what is that called?
Selfish, Guruji.
100%, 110%. Amitama, agree?
Of course. Have y'all heard of online archanas as well?
Nowadays, everything has become virtual. Please update us. What is the latest trend?
No, it's exactly that, making a deal with the temples to, like you said, there's a form you fill and get this prayer done, and then the prasad is sent back to them. Ridiculous. Yes.
Let's not dismiss it. People are doing for their own purposes. Please let them carry on. How can we say ridiculous? I think I object to that strongly.
Sorry, sir. Yes, that's true.
Yeah, that is their way of doing it, but it may not be the right thing to do. That's for them to realize someday. How can I go to Lord and say only protect my family? What about neighbor's family? What about others' family? Why are you selfishly, the pure prayer, you're destroying it by making it impure, by bringing yourself, your kith and kin into it. So prayer is pure. You just go to thank Lord for all you have given. He may have given a list of problems and series of challenges. Thank Lord for all I have been provided with. I may have problems, but it's all that also your prasad. And that is challenge is only helping me become a better person. Thanks to you. If things didn't have a challenge, I would not understand what life is. I wouldn't understand that I should become a better person. And this challenges have made me a better person. And thanks to you for that. If only things were everything provided in a platter, I would not know what it is to have all this. Now I know the value of what I have. Thanks to you, O Lord. So it may be good, it may be bad. Everything is a prasad of the Lord, and you're ever thankful for everything that you are experiencing in life. So prayer is one long chant. So bhakti and jnanam, Indra approaching the apparition and Uma appearing means you will get a glimpse of the self vicarious knowledge. So when the apparition disappeared, Indra did not return. He pursued it with Dhriti, with Shraddha, with a purpose. But the fire and the wind god came back. They had no purpose. This is one. And the third, if you realize that this mantra ends part 3. The answer comes in part 4. It's like you ask me a question, I'll say, I'll answer you next week. When there is time and when you know, I know you know the answer, why are you not telling me? Why are you unnecessarily giving a gap between question and answer? Part 3 is like you go to a movie, you only see first half, second half continue. You buy another ticket and come another day. What is this? Yeah, the story should end, no? So it is sort of unconventional. So there's a glaring gap between the question and answer. Now, what does that mean? The symbolic representation between the gap, intentional, unconventional, the gap between question and answer symbolizes that there's a period of time between your inquiry with the head and heart and the actual experience of Brahman. I repeat, the gap between question and answer symbolizes the inquiry with the head and heart, which is with devotion and jnanam. When you do your sadhana, there is a gap between the effort and the experience of Brahman. There is a period of time. There is a period of time where you are in a conditioned state, you move into the unconditioned state of Brahman. There's a time. Even relatively, isn't there a gap between Vidya which is knowledge, which is jnanam, and wisdom, which is, what is the word for wisdom in Sanskrit? Subhama. Solongo.
Buddhi. Oh, sorry, wisdom.
The Sanskrit word for, not that you're wrong, not
sorry,
that you're wrong.
Buddhi is intellect, wisdom is jnanam, knowledge, wisdom. I am not getting that word.
Not at all. It's all right. It's all right. In fact, the Sanskrit word for wisdom is vijnanam.
Vijnanam, sorry.
Correct. No, I know you know it. I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah,
so
Guruji,
there is.
I wanted to
Yes.
ask one question. Am I allowed, because I'm not getting unmuted by the host.
Did you ask? Did you? Who is that who is not unmuting you?
I have asked in the chat one question, but
sorry, ma. I didn't see your question.
No,
please. You can always raise your hand or use the facility in the Zoom to raise it electronically. So it will alert me and I'll give you the chance. Please, nobody is there's no preferences here. Everybody is equal. Yes, ma. Please, Kedungo.
No, when Seturamanji said Kalakshepam, I think it is, I don't know whether it is a Sanskrit word, I don't know, or Tamil word. I'm not coming for that controversy, but there is a lot of difference between Upanyasam and Kalakshepam, if I'm not mistaken. Upanyasam is, Upa is to sit. Upanyasam vandu, Guru narrates the story and we listen. Kalakshepam gardu, like you said, it is a time pass or something you said there. I'm not saying anything, but Kalakshepam is, I feel Kalakshepam, the short time, how much the Guru and Shishya is able to interact, how much knowledge he is getting. And it is a discourse between the Guru and Shishya about spiritual texts. And I feel that.
Now, even beyond that fine difference you are able to bring out, you need to differentiate between that activity and what you are rightly intending is there's a direct interaction between a student and a guru on the higher truths. It's a conscious interaction. Kalakshepam is one-sided. There is no dialogue. There is no interaction. As I said, you are eating mirchi bhaji, masala bhaji you're eating, and Kalakshepam is going on. That is different. See, there is no connect between the guru and the shishya. There is no interaction.
Yeah, it is
In
taken
fact,
in a mass.
the difference in a
Upanyasam.
mass. See, even irrespective of mass or individual, there is no dialogue between the guru and shishya. If you look at the shastras, throughout the shastras is only a dialogue between the guru and the shishya. Even in the Upanishads is only a question answer. That is the difference between Shravana, which is knowledge given. Remember, ma, the difference is knowledge is always taken, it is never given.
Yeah.
So when you go to a guru to seek, you got to seek knowledge. And the guru gives it to your level for your development. So it's actually a dynamic consultation. It's just not a casual interaction. It's a dynamic consultation to actually see how you can develop yourself, where you are, you uplift yourself. That is different to whatever we used, Kala Kalakshepam, or you use any other word. So that is not the point. Only the spirit that you got to gather. Okay. All right, ma.
And the question was
The difference between, sorry. Yeah.
That Nityanusandhanam of the daily audit, the chanting of mantra and Nityanusandhanam be auditory worship.
Just for the benefit of everybody, how would you interpret Nitya Anusandhanam?
Nitya Anusandhanam, no, doing the daily routine, like you said, mechanically doing with Shraddha, not without Shraddha.
That Shraddha is there. That we see a lot of Shraddha is there.
Some people becomes Satvika Ahankaramle, they become too much rigid. It becomes Nityanusandhanam for them. That's what we call them.
Correct.
And performing Aradhana for Lord is also auditory through our thoughts and perceptions. The mantras we chant, the Purusha Suktam, all those things. Does it become auditory worship?
See, if there is this element of mechanical aspect, it becomes either you're doing ritual mechanically or mere auditory worship.
Mm-hmm.
So when it doesn't elevate you to the higher, when it doesn't crush your rajas and tamas, when it doesn't destroy your lower, I know many people, I don't want to mention names, I know people who have so much of these rituals, but they have so much of ahankar, they play so much of dirty politics, they are such low character they have, but yet they're all so profound Brahmin knowledge they have. They go to these temples, they perform this, and there's I am this. This is such contrast because they're just stuck to the outer shell. They're not going to the kernel. It's like I'm only holding the shell, but not the kernel. When you buy a coconut from the market, your interest in the kernel, not the shell, isn't it? You break the shell, you take the kernel, discard the kernel. Kernel is of no use to you. These rituals are the kernel. They contain, so the rituals are the shell which contain the kernel. The kernel is the essential truth contained. They are only trying to draw people who can't relate to the higher knowledge. Everybody can't understand the truth. So to draw them, the various rituals, again, don't misunderstand. Rituals are an integral part. They are communicating something so divine. So it is important that you get the kernel. Like the shell is only containing the most delicate kernel in it. It's so tender. It's so beautiful. It is so delicious. It contains it. Similarly, the rituals only contain the philosophical, spiritual values you must live and abide by. But no point me performing the ritual and living anti-spiritual life. I am saluting the nation every day. I'm saluting the national flag. I chant the national anthem. But from the moment my activity begins, I start doing anti-national things. Does it have any meaning? that ritual of chanting the national anthem, hoisting the national flag, mechanically I'll do. Start out it'll start. But every action is all anti-spiritual, anti-national. I'm questioning that spirit. If it doesn't instill that spirit in you, what is the question of you doing all what you're practicing? That is the argument to be noted. Not that rituals are wrong. Rituals, you cannot practice spirituality without rituals. But to be stuck in them is like sitting one day longer in kindergarten class. You are out of place. I'm only saying you're out of place. Please realize that. Don't be angry at me. I'm only speaking the truth. Truth many a time is bitter. It sounds bitter because you're attached to it. I know that. If you are defensive, if you're not accepting wholeheartedly, is because you are attached to it. And the job of the guru is to break your rigidity and your attachment. So I understand that. So there is a gap between conditioned experience and unconditioned state, which is symbolized by the knowledge and wisdom, the jnanam and vijnanam. Therefore, we say after gaining knowledge, it takes a while for you to gain wisdom. That's the reason there is a gap between the question in the third part, 12th mantra, and the answer given in the fourth part, first mantra. There's a gap. And it is latest update, BBC News, we get using temples for gossiping. Right? Shivaji, not everybody does. Somebody is telling who does it. It can be, you may not be doing it. Why are you taking an objection to everything? We are not generalizing. நீங்க பண்றீங்களா ஆப்ஜெக்ஷன் எடுத்துடுங்க, நீங்க பண்ணலன்னா அப்படி ஒடுங்க. அதுக்கு என்ன? Not that you are against it or in favor. I'm only saying what people have said. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. You take it for your own analysis. Okay. Yeah, Reddy Garu, we have just got a few more minutes.
Yeah, sorry, Guruji. I just want to take in this context in a classic example of we talking about spending 3,000 crores for Ram Janmabhoomi temple construction. Maybe is it really makes when you have such a bhakti shraddha, is it really required to spend that money? Maybe and my question may be controversial, maybe antagonizing the people's sentiments, but really is it really required to spend 3,000 crores where you can spend that on the humanity to elevate millions of people?
See, as the wisdom, a man of wisdom or knowledge should not unsettle the minds of the ignorant. So sentiments must be respected. So if there is a price to respect and maintain a sentiment, it must be. So would you stamp the Holy Gita, sir?
No, not at all.
Would you put your foot on a piece of newspaper?
No.
That's a sentiment. Are you not upholding it at any cost?
Yes.
So through time, through culture, through tradition, there is a certain association of a certain place. And for reasons to accommodate the larger interest, you and I agree to what I say, but how many would agree to it? Many people would be more triggered by the sentiment. So perhaps it becomes reasonable in the given situation that that sentiment has to be upheld. You can't educate them and say God is everywhere. Why are you only trying to see God in that small pocket of area and say God is only there? Even though God is born there, is it confined to that place alone? Why are we limiting it? You don't have to limit. But since there is sentiment, you have to take the larger interest. I'm not endorsing it, please. But I wouldn't want to give my personal opinion, because my personal opinion is not what you're interested in. It's what the facts are. So taking any situation into context. So even in your own factory, you would not do something which will destroy the ecosystem of the organization, would you?
Yes. Yes,
That's what I'm
Guruji,
saying.
but I'm just drawing that example in line with the discussion which we're talking about, where we are talking more of mechanical actions which you are performing, not with the Bhakti Shraddha in place there. So I correlate this action also something like that, where we're trying to make the huge, I do agree sentiments. I'm
Sir,
not denying
if you say that, why are so many temples being built? Are we in scarcity of temples in this land?
Guruji, if you really get into that, happen to come to my nearby place at Taranaka, where I stay here, at the mid of the road, there is a Hanuman temple. Sorry to mention that many accidents, many lives are gone. By early morning, 4 o'clock, the temple in the mid of the road not be seen by the outsiders who have been not familiar with that road. Exactly the mid of the road. I keep thinking why the guard is at the road middle. Why not be just next to the door, where the guard just few meters away clears the way for everyone. And worshipping makes everything, the people, the challenges, sometimes really confusion and really conflict of mind between what we are learning and what we are practicing.
No, in fact, I actually endorse everything, every statement you made. I endorse it. You know, it is because of over adherence to these non-essentials of religion. The society is in such a dire situation where it is only fanaticism. There's only a lack of reason and lack of common sense.
It's appeasement.
There is this presidential route. Whenever the president comes, the president passes by the road, which is just 2 minutes where I stay. And right in the smack in the center of the presidential route, there is a tree. There's a tree, a neem tree. And the tree has got a carving of a deity's picture is carved onto it, and it has become a place of worship. When the tree was on the side path, when the lane was a single narrow lane, acceptable. But now the road has expanded and there's huge chaos. It's at a cross junction and it's a presidential route. Can you imagine? Even the president coming, he can't say, put this tree aside. What is going on? That is our fanaticism to these rituals. Fanaticism. That is, sir, this is where jnanam comes in. And if the guru has the strength and the power of wisdom, you will communicate a message. When the great Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was meditating in the form of goddess Kali in the prayer room, his guru took a piece of instrument and broke the idol. And that transformed the great Ramakrishna, whom we knew to be a realized soul. The guru broke that attachment to that form. On one side, you have a guru breaking the idol in a prayer room. And here we are talking about an attachment to an idol. This is the disparity of the essential, non-essentials. Find out where you are.
Yes, absolutely.
The society is in a very sad state. The spirituality is in spiritual decadence. It's gone. There's no spirituality in the world today. Why? Because this wisdom is not there. This knowledge is not there. So we are only trying to take you along with your sadhana, take you along with your practices. As I said, again, repeat, no man of knowledge will ever unsettle you. So the knowledge is not to unsettle you, please. The knowledge is to take you along from where you are to a higher realm. Please remember this. So it is not at the cost of what you're doing. You carry on doing what you're doing, but only understand the higher knowledge, because it is only integrated and only conveying the same truth which the knowledge is saying. So it's never one at the cost of the other. It is this to be introduced along with it, so that you're only understanding the practice. It is not to dismiss or not to unsettle. That is not the perspective of knowledge, because many people think, you intellectuals will talk many things and you are very critical. I am not being critical, nor is the knowledge trying to unsettle you. The knowledge is trying to educate you. If you cannot learn and educate yourself, you are not ready for it. But don't misunderstand and don't brand this knowledge as arrogant. The knowledge is not arrogant. The gurus are not having that attitude. They're only trying to pull you out of your attachment. And the masses are ignorant, sir.
Yes,
It can't be, it can't be understood. I don't know how many of you in this classroom have understood what I'm saying. Forget the masses. You educated spiritual literates, if you understand, I'm grateful. We are talking of spiritual illiterates to understand. Too much to expect. Too much to expect. Therefore, we have to be very, very careful how you convey that sentiment. So if something has to be upheld, if a sanctum sanctorum has to be protected, if a temple has to be constructed, so be it. Because for the larger good, because the majority are ignorant. You can't go about creating a chaos because you want to convey. The masters, the gurus themselves have promoted the rituals. Who are we to say no, sir? The same gurus who gave this wisdom also promoted these rituals, but they also understand, they tell you it's a stepping stone. It should not be a stumbling block. Now, the rituals, when it becomes a stumbling block, you stagnate. It should be a stepping stone. You evolve through them. Don't get stuck to them.
Wonderful, Guruji. Wonderful.
Thank you, sir. Namaskaram. So, being true to the text, there will be a gap of 1 week between the question and answer. I did not intend that way. It happened that way. So, I'm being true to the text. So, we shall come back next week and get the answer. All right. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.